So we're seeing a major rebound in some of the stocks of a lot of these banks that were getting crushed just the other day. And the question is, how's the economy doing? Well, the weird thing is they had to halt trading again because many of these bank stocks skyrocketed so high, they had to shut it down. It's absolute market volatility. So I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you two things. In this viral clip from the other day, Joe Biden refused to answer questions as people are asking, can you assure the American public things are okay? He just looks, turns around, walks right off. Not confidence building. And while this video is a short snippet of how much they actually care, in my opinion, we have this story from the Daily Mail. Meta confirms another 10,000 layoffs, 13% of its remaining staff, as Zuckerberg says tech bubble is bursting, was a humbling wake-up call and warns new economic reality will continue for many years. So is Zuck right? Well, let me show you this video of Joe Biden, and then you tell me what you think they think as it pertains to the economy. Y'all ready for this one? Just got to make sure we have the audio set up properly, and we will play.
President, what do you know right now about why this happened? And can you assure Americans that there won't be a ripple effect?
Do you expect other banks to fail, Mr. President? Should all depositors be protected at all banks?
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you, President.
Here you go. Listen.
Should all depositors be protected at all banks?
Should all depositors be protected at all banks? Can you tell the American people what caused this to happen? Can you give them assurances? And Biden, from the other day, no. And so this is the story that I saw. And I don't know if Mark Zuckerberg is the foremost expert on everything that's happening, but it certainly feels like, I don't know, is Mark Zuckerberg right? The tech bubble is bursting. Is that why Silvergate collapsed? It's a crypto bank. Is that why SVB collapsed? A Silicon Valley tech investor bank. And is that why Signature collapsed? Another crypto bank. The going theory right now, we saw this from Tucker Carlson and many others, is that the bank run will be a move to trigger a central bank digital currency. Now me, I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. I got me some Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is skyrocketing in value. Digital gold, they call it. And I have to wonder, because I tell people this a lot. Back when Bitcoin was coming out, I guess, it was like late 2000, I think 2009. I first discovered, I think around early 2011, and it was worthless. Like a single Bitcoin was worth, what were they worth? Like 7 cents or so, 70 cents for one Bitcoin. I think it was 70 cents. And the people who were really into it were right-wing libertarian types and conspiracy theorists and anarchists. And I told my friends, a Bitcoin transaction is tracked. Anybody can monitor the whole network. And if you've got a powerful enough AI, you'll know who owns which wallet. You don't need them to put their name on it. Now everything you do, everything you buy with this currency is tracked. Hell of a way to usher in a global currency, don't you think? But maybe the idea was always that Bitcoin would be digital gold. Nobody owns the rights to gold. Like, gold exists. And then we can mint gold coins and put our symbols on it or something. US dollars, well, the US government, for the most part, the Federal Reserve, they control that. Other countries can counterfeit, but they're not making real dollars. Bitcoin could be that gold. And then the US can create their central bank digital currency. That means you will have a digital crypto wallet with Fed coin on it that tracks everything you do, every purchase. They will know, the machine will know forever. Now, I can't tell you if that's where they want to take it. Certainly, many people fear that. What I can tell you is, ignoring all the bank stuff, Mark Zuckerberg came out and said the new economic reality will continue for many years. Is he wrong? They're laying off 13% of their staff. Maybe he's just talking about Facebook, but heck of a time to do it. Daily Mail says, Facebook's parent company Meta has confirmed it will cut 10,000 jobs in the coming months, on top of the 11,000 that were slashed in December, shrinking its staff count by another 13%. Combined, the cuts account for just under a quarter of the company's 86,000 person workforce. Zuckerberg made the announcement on his Facebook page, sharing the internal memo he sent to employees. Among those who will lose their jobs first are members of the company's recruiting teams. That one makes sense. Here's the timeline you should expect. Over the next couple of months, org leaders will announce restructuring plans focused on flattening our orgs, canceling lower priority projects, and reducing our hiring rates. Here's the post he made. I'm going to tell you right now, my friends, I expect things to get very, very bad. I don't know about the banks. I don't know about a run of the banks. I can only tell you based on what I'm seeing for my business. Ad rates, tech sector, YouTube, all that stuff. We are not the first line in the tech bubble collapse, but we are second in line. When YouTube starts a hurting, people stop buying ads. YouTube gets hit by it. We get hit in turn. Well, I should say that we're in a similar space. YouTube and I, we split the ad revenue. They take a smaller cut. They take a lot, though. But what about the subsidy? YouTube subsidizes a lot of this, so things could get particularly bad. I don't know how bad, but I think things could get particularly bad. We have this one here from Fortune.com. What we're seeing is an investor bank run. Wall Street shaken by wave of trading halts as record drops rock regional lenders. And I don't know what you can expect to happen next. I really don't. But the idea is the conspiracy theory, I suppose. Or I'll put it this way, the opportunity of crisis. Depending on who you ask, they'll give you one of two explanations. They'll say it's intentional. The government wants these things to happen so that they can usher in a central bank digital currency. Others will say, no, it's simply a crisis opportunity. When is the best time to implement radical change? When people are losing their minds over a crisis. And then you can inject some rapid change into a system because the system's already in turmoil. From the federalreserve.gov, central bank digital currency, they say, well, the Federal Reserve has made no decisions on whether to pursue or implement a central bank digital currency or CBDC. We have been exploring the potential benefits and risks of CBDCs from a variety of angles, including through technological research and experimentation. Our key focus is on whether and how a CBDC could improve on an already safe and efficient U.S. domestic payment system. CBDC is generally defined as a digital liability of a central bank that is widely available to the general public. Today in the United States, Federal Reserve notes, that's right, Federal Reserve notes, physical currency, are the only type of central bank money available to the general public. Like existing forms of money, a CBDC would enable the general public to make digital payments. As a liability of the Federal Reserve, however, a CBDC would be the safest digital asset available to the general public with no associated credit or liquidity risk. Really? Well, I'm not going to give you any advice, but I'd certainly say, yeah, no, US dollars, physical currency, and a central bank digital currency, probably one of the riskiest things you can have. Well, to be fair, not the riskiest. There's probably a lot of crazier things you can have that are way riskier. But I'll tell you the story I've told a million times. I read this thing on Daily Mail about a family. They popped open a floorboard and found a box with 50 grand in it from the 1950s. And they were like, Granddad, put 50 grand in a box. We're rich. Sorry to tell you, man, but that was probably worth the equivalent of like 5 million back then. Maybe not 5 million, but like 500,000 to a million in buying power. And if you had bought gold instead, yeah, then you'd be rich. Or I don't know, like AT&T stock or some other company. US dollars, not all it. Now, don't get me wrong, stocks are risky. He could have invested in some happening company back then, a shoemaker, and now the shoemaker ceases to exist and you lose it all. But US currency, that ain't the safest place to spend your money. I always say this, invest in yourself. They say, the Federal Reserve Board has issued a discussion paper that examines the pros and cons of a potential US CBDC. So we'll see. The one thing I can say is, if Facebook is going to be firing another 10,000 people, 10,000 people are not going to have food. And do you know what's going on in California right now? A lot of homeless people. So what do these 10,000 layoffs mean? Do you think it ends with Facebook? We will likely see it ripple through several other tech sector businesses. We've already seen tons of layoffs across the board. Look, Twitter's been laying off tons of people for somewhat different reasons, but yes, also to cut costs. Then you've got a bunch of other big tech companies. I think Amazon did a massive layoff. Facebook did a massive layoff. And now they're doing, well, Meta, I should say, another 10,000 people. Where do all of these people go? So I'm wondering, and I've been saying this for some time, you know it, where is everybody? Serious question. We went out a year ago Not quite a year ago, like 7 months ago. We're at the movies and it was completely dead. It was like a big Marvel release. I can't remember which movie. And I'm like, where is everyone? How come nobody is out on a Saturday night? I keep hearing from people, well, it's hard to find workers because so many retired. And I'm like, BS, dude. I don't buy it. There's a local restaurant that went out of business because they couldn't find wait staff. They couldn't find servers. And I'm like, you couldn't find a 17-year-old to bring food from the kitchen to a table? No, we couldn't. Where do those people get money from? What are they eating? How are they paying their bills? It's a question that we haven't had answered. Well, except for Ian's hypothesis. You guys may know Ian from Timcast IRL. Become a member at timcast.com. Click join us if you want to support our work, especially in these trying times, if you're able to. He said, yeah, but there's a lot of homeless people now. And I went, holy crap, is that it? I mean, think about it. You've got a restaurant, a server. This is somebody who's making $15, $20 an hour, maybe if it's a busy restaurant, getting tips. The restaurant shuts down because of COVID, and that person has no money. So what do? They can't pay their rent. All of these stories are ignored and no one cares, and these people end up homeless. Now, when these businesses reopen, who do they have to hire? Nobody. All of the people that used to be there, they retired. They all moved on. Are you kidding me? Now there are kids, young people, who could be getting jobs that don't know where they're at. But you've got people in your late 20s, early 30s who may be doing low-skilled jobs at stores or whatever, and they're homeless. And what are they going to do? Are they going to come out of their tent under a bridge and walk into a Home Depot and say, I can do floor work for you? It's not going to happen. See, I was thinking about the Great Depression, wondering how it is that you could have so many people, but so little food and this economic turmoil. And the issue is simply greasing the machine. Why do they give out stimulus money? Like, why did Obama do that big stimulus thing? Hey, that was great for me. One day all of a sudden I had cash and I'm like, I can buy stuff. Stimulus. The idea is if you give all of the grassroots people money, they all trade it amongst themselves very rapidly, creating a spike in economic activity. Because someone's got money and they come to me and I'm a guy selling cheeseburgers and I'm like, I'll make more cheeseburgers because more people are buying cheeseburgers. Then I have more money to pay my staff. Economic stimulus. Right now, we have the opposite of that. What the COVID lockdown was economic breaking, I guess. And then all of that economic activity stopped and you can't just start it back up. So Meta, laying people off. And I was going to show you this, it's like, I don't want to show too much because it's brutal. Seemingly unrelated, 7 minors, post-millennial, 7 minors between the ages of 11 and 14 have been arrested in connection with the brutal beating of a woman in Philadelphia last month, with one more suspect still unknown to police. The reason I highlight this story in an economic segment, it all comes together. I saw a video of a woman leaves a bank. She's got about $4,000, $5,000, I think it's $4,500 in an envelope because she was taking out money because she was going to buy travel to go visit her family in Vietnam. A dude runs up to her, knocks her down, takes her stuff, picks her up and body slams her, paralyzing her from the waist down. For a couple grand. I see that video. I see this video. I see what's happening in New York and I'm just like, look, man, I don't need to be the bearer of black pills, but look at this stuff that's happening. Societal collapse, violence, crime, urban decay. A Biden administration that doesn't seem to care about the problem as it just gets worse. How do you make it better? I wonder if a show like mine has the influence to make people do positive things. Like, hey, everybody, go buy cheeseburgers, go spend money, stimulate the economy. I don't think so. I think we're all just sitting back and you have 90% of the population, a zombie horde, mindlessly marching towards the destruction of the society. They're not paying attention. They don't care. They're ignoring the problems and they say things like, I can't pay attention to that stuff. Oh, it's so infuriating. I can't pay attention to that stuff. It's too depressing. Imagine sitting in your house and a fire starts and someone runs in and says, there's a fire in the kitchen. I don't want to hear it. That stuff is too depressing. And you're like, the house will burn down and you will die. Oh, can you shut up? I don't care about your politics. That's how it feels sometimes. Hearing stories about mass economic failure, violence in the streets, people beating each other. And I'm just like, things seem to be getting worse every day. Now, it could be that the night is always darkest before the dawn, and we don't know where the bottom is, so I don't know. Here's what I was talking about yesterday. We had the guy Drew Miller. We got his poster right here in front of me. Actually, it's really funny. From Fortitude Ranch, a survival prep facility. Full disclosure, I have a small, tiny percentage stake in it. Some people were like, it's a commercial for this ranch. And it's like, dude, everybody promotes their stuff when they come on the show. People bring books and they show off their books. They promote their website. That's the point of coming on someone else's show. But it's not a commercial. I mean, we had him booked in general. And I think it was interesting timing. A lot of people actually said this was perfectly timed. And how did you manage to get this guy right? We've had him on the show before. We've had like 4 episodes of the Fortitude Ranch guys. And I ended up investing. Well, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing watching all of this. I invested in a survival preparedness and recreational facility with multiple locations because I think about what you could invest in that actually matters. Survival. I mean, that feels to me like the only thing that matters. I don't care about gold. The way I describe it is this. You're walking down the street. The apocalypse has happened. And you got a bottle of water. And there's a guy on your left, and he's saying, please, please, I need water. And there's a guy on your right saying, please, please, I need water. Well, you ask, okay, let's do a trade. I can share my water with you. And the guy on the left says, I have gold coins. And you go, uh-huh. And you look at the guy on your right, and he goes, I have a sandwich. And you go, share with me half your sandwich and I'll give you half my water. And the guy with the gold says, but I have all the gold. Good luck eating or drinking that. I'm sure it will help you survive. Now, if people still want to use currency, they may, but gold is just something we believe has value. Food and water, that's got real value. I'll tell you about it. You know what'll be worth more than gold is a bottle of water. You'll go to the store and they'll say something like, sure, we can sell you this meat. What do you have to trade? I have gold. We don't need gold. The gold doesn't do anything for us. You can't build with gold. It's a great conductor. Someone's going to walk in and say, I've got fresh water. It's clean and distilled. And they'll say, fill up our gallon and we'll give you some of our food because we really need water here. I know a lot of people might say something like, there's fresh water everywhere. Water's abundant. No, for sure. Don't get me wrong. Food is going to be important, but gold, that ain't going to be it. So I think about this, like I've invested in antiseptics, vitamins. That's a scary stuff. I guess you can get, vitamin C from rose hips and pine needles or something like that. I don't know if you live in an area with pine needles. I guess you can mash them up and eat those. Don't consult your physician before doing anything like that. But looking at everything that's going on, here's what I think. I think when it comes to the Facebook stuff and Mark Zuckerberg saying the new economic reality, I think we're headed for dark days. I also think this means we'll likely see a Donald Trump re-election. In the next year, 2 years, I think the economy is going to get very, very, very bad. I know. I could come on the show and just be like, everything's fine. Just keep going. Don't worry about it. Joe Biden wakes up at 9 a.m., shockingly, to assure the nation your deposits are safe. That gives me the opposite feeling. Then, when the reporters ask questions, he just turns around and walks away. Come on, man. You're going to do a press conference? No, the dude's hopped up on goofballs, can barely stay awake. Everything's going to be fine. Your deposits are safe. Bye. Well, tell us what's happening. The fact that he came out at all is kind of shocking and it's kind of unnerving. But right now I can see the Dow is up, that we're seeing these banks their stock is skyrocketing. And then a lot of people are pointing out, like, you'd think that's a good thing. I ended my last segment by saying, like, well, look, the stocks are rebounding. It's a good thing. And a lot of people are saying this is actually indicative of something bad. It's indicative of extreme volatility in the financial sector. And the bond markets, they're predicting collapse. To put it simply, people are buying bonds. They want to see a return. You buy it. They say, we'll give you X% after X years or after Y years. And you're like, okay, but if inflation is 6%, and your bonds are yielding 2%, then you're going to be like, give me my money. This is a terrible investment. And then system breaks down. Or at least the bond system does. But it's all one, it's like a Jenga tower. I'm not going to pretend to be an economist or financial expert. I don't know for sure. What I can say is, I'll be completely frank and honest. We've had conversations here about where our revenue streams are. And I've already mentioned it. Ad rates are way down. Membership growth down. I don't think that we're, I'll put it this way. I'll say this. We're fine, but I'm not one of those people who's going to come out and be like, oh, I'm going to, just tell everyone everything's okay, stay calm. If things don't pick up in the next several months, then we're going to have to start restructuring and figuring things out. And we are a profit-heavy company. Like the amount of cost for producing this show is really low. But based on the way ad rates have been going, if it continues in that trend, then we're going to see something we've not seen before. We should be seeing ad rates increasing right now as we're entering March and into April with the budgets being finalized for a lot of these companies. Not so much. Even BuzzFeed was saying they're looking at like a 30 to 40% decline in ad rates. And if they're seeing that and I'm seeing that, that means it's going to be a ripple effect that really will hit everybody. What do? Should the government just come in and throw money at people and say, spend, spend, spend? They've been trying that. Didn't work. Then you got interest rate adjustments, and it's not working either. We got to control inflation. Oh, man, the system seems to be imploding. You can take Mark Zuckerberg's word for it. I don't know for sure, but I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.